Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. Today we're going to be talking about how to destroy evil. The many different ways that you can do this. We're going to talk about what evil is and why evil as you understand it is not going to exist much longer in planet Earth. Okay, so evil. I'd like for you to think in your mind what evil is. You don't have to write it in the chat here. I would just like for you to think what evil is. And I think we can all agree that evil is a force that causes damage to people and potentially to ourselves. And when we think about evil, we think about either fighting against evil, escaping evil, or experiencing the negative impacts of evil. But evil is a real thing. And as somebody who has personal experience in it, there are such things as evil spirits. There's evil spirits, there's evil energy, there's evil influences, we could even say there are evil people, although I do not believe that there's such a thing as a human soul that is beyond redemption. I think that what happens to human souls when they leave 3D changes things. It's inside of the third dimension. So what I'm here to tell you is that evil is something that is only found in the third dimension or below. You will not find evil above 3D. This is one of the failings of religion, because religion wants you to believe that evil is something that we need to be afraid of in the universe. And in fact, the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, etc., they will tell you that, and let's see if this makes any sense to you. They will even tell you that the most powerful evil force on earth was once a being of light that was as close to God as any being could have gotten. And that for some reason that we don't understand, this being decided to rebel and fell from heaven. And I'm here to tell you that that is not possible. It's just simply not possible. Evil is something that you will only find within the third dimension or below. You will not find it outside of the third dimension. Well, let's talk about what evil is. Well, before we talk about what evil is, let's talk about what word. I mean, good isn't a good enough adjective. But let's talk about the opposite of evil. Spirituality, righteousness, purity, truth, goodness, love. We can talk about that. So what is the opposite of evil? The opposite of evil is the norm in the universe, everywhere besides Earth. I don't know if there are other three-dimensional planets in the universe. It's very possible that there are planets that, like ours, are solely three-dimensional, lower three-dimensional in nature. I'm sure we'll find out as time goes on when we connect with the rest of the universe as we evolve. But I'm here to tell you that evil as you understand it is something that you will only find in three-dimensional reality. The rest of the universe, evil is not an issue. So if you're somebody that's been afraid, you're afraid of other civilizations, other beings, especially if you're afraid of evil beings coming to Earth and bringing their evil, suppressive, horrible ways of life to us. That won't happen. It's not possible. And I've talked about it in other videos. I'm currently writing a book, and in that book I explain why it's impossible for there to be evil outside of the third dimension. The rest of the universe, here's the good news, the rest of the universe lives in an incredibly concentrated state of love. And so the opposite of evil is having the freedom and having the experience of knowing that you are completely, totally loved. That every fiber, every cell within your body is absolutely, totally loved. Not just accepted, not just tolerated, but actually loved very deeply and very intensely. This is the norm in the entire universe. It's only here that we don't have that. So in the third dimension, on Earth, we have this experience, which is it's called Maya, it's called illusion. We do live in a veiled, illusory reality. The reality that we live in 3D is not ultimate truth. It is an illusion. Part of that illusion is that we are isolated. We feel isolated. You put two people next to each other, and unless they choose to communicate verbally and maybe, body language, you won't know what's happening inside the other person. You won't know what they're thinking. You won't know what they're feeling. If that person is out of sight, if you can't see them, you won't be able to tell what they're doing. So you have this experience that you're isolated and separate from everything. And that's an illusion. That is not real. That is an effect of living within the third dimension. And so when you live in a dimension that is higher than the third dimension, you have an experience of connecting with every single conscious being in the universe. And every single conscious being in the universe, the essence of them is pure love. The most intense, pure love you can possibly imagine, even in your own soul. If you were to experience the full impact of the soul in your body, you would be completely overwhelmed with orgasmic bliss and love. In the third dimension, again, the illusion is you're separate. So you feel separate from your own infinite reality. So that is the norm. That is reality. Evil is the opposite experience of that. Evil is what happens when you completely believe the illusion that you are separate, that you are isolated. And in that state, evil is a force, whether it be a person, whether it be a spirit, whether it be whatever. If it is evil, the effect that it has on you is that it makes you believe that you are not loved. A good term to use is that evil is that which devalues your essence. When somebody is violent to somebody else, in that violence, they are devaluing the other person. They are acting from the assumption, if you are hitting somebody, causing them physical pain, and you don't feel that pain, that's an illusion. You think you're separate. The separateness is what drives evil. This is why it's so frightening. Because we, in the third dimension, we know what it feels like to be isolated. We know what it feels like to be separate. And so that's why you don't trust. You don't trust everybody. Why would you? Because you don't know who is going to operate and act upon that feeling of separateness. And in the third dimension, unlike in the rest of the universe, in the third dimension, unless you feel very safe, you have to put effort into living a life that is the opposite of evil. You have to put effort into loving everybody. You have to put effort into living a life where you have no judgment, where you have no fear, where you accept everybody exactly as they are. And in fact, it gets even more challenging. If you really want to live a life that is opposite of evil, then that means that you focus your energy on finding the infinite spiritual truth within even people you think are evil, people who hurt you, people who are dangerous. Now, the conflation is people think that if I have compassion for harmful, evil people, that means I'm putting myself in harm's way. No, it doesn't mean that. You can be completely safe and secure, and from a distance, you can look on those poor people and you can think to yourself how sad they are acting on their feeling of separation from their own spirit. That's a very sad thing. When you are in that space, you are protecting your own boundaries and simultaneously having love and compassion and acceptance for all people, no matter how they act. Then you are operating from a place that is opposite from evil. You want to call that good, you want to call that love, whatever. Having said that, I myself have no shortage of experience with evil spirits. Ever since I was a young man, I have had experience doing exorcisms, and then later on I got involved in Maoshan spirit fighting, which actually these things you're seeing me doing here, if I was to do them in a haunted house or in some place where there was an evil spirit or some kind of negative entity, that just doing those moves would send out a vibration in the immediate area surrounding me that would make it impossible for evil to be in the same presence as me. That doesn't mean that I'm anything special. You can do it too. It's literally a vibration. Because to be in a space of evil, you must be in a space of fear. There is no such thing as an evil being that is not completely driven by fear. It is a myth, for instance, that there is such a thing as evil people who don't feel any fear. Like we like to deify really evil villains in movies, like Hannibal the Cannibal, Hannibal Lecter. He is portrayed as this sociopath, which of course he is, who has no fear, nothing bothers him, nothing touches him, and he can predate on people, kill them, murder them, eat their flesh, and he doesn't feel any fear, he feels nothing. And people look up to this. People wish they could be that way. People who have been damaged by narcissistic, evil people, many of them have a fantasy that they also have no fear, and then they imagine themselves destroying or violently destroying evil people without any fear. But the truth is, whenever you operate from violence, your first base experience is from fear. And so we can destroy evil. The easiest, or the most, I shouldn't say the easiest way, the most immediate way that you can do this is to seek within yourself to value your own existence. And again, it is an illusion that if you love yourself and if you selfishly seek to empower yourself, that you have to choose between yourself and the well-being of others. And that is false. That is completely false. The only thing that you need to focus 100% of your effort and energy is to bring yourself safety, love, happiness, and joy. In that state, it is impossible for you to do harm to another. It's impossible. In fact, when you are in a state of joy and love, it is impossible not to help other people. It's totally impossible. So, first thing everybody wants to do if you want to destroy evil and dark entities is to live for your own joy and your own happiness. Just by doing that, you are on a higher level of vibration that negativity doesn't want. Here's the thing about evil. Evil looks for victims. And victims are people who have fear. Fear is a lack of trust. When you do not trust the universe to love you and take care of you, you are in a state of fear. When you are in a state of fear, you send out a vibration that predators can pick up on. You know, look, wolves, for example. Wolves are one of the greatest symbols of evil predators. I mean, that's why we have movies about werewolves. We don't have movies about were-kittens or, you know, things like that. They're always wolves. We see wolves as these evil predatory things. And the truth is that wolves in the wild, left to themselves, if they're not being overhunted, and if the game is not being overhunted, what the wolves do is they don't go after the big, strong elk. They go after the old and the sick. And that's a good thing because they end up keeping the herd healthy. Human beings actually make the herds, the elk herds, if we're talking about elk. Humans who hunt elk actually make the elk less healthy because they go after the biggest, strongest bucks. But the wolves go after the sick and the old, which is good. That's actually a good thing for the population. It's not a pleasant thing for the sick and the old as they're dying, but we project onto them that they go after good people and trying to destroy good people. But the truth is that the wolves can smell. They can smell old age and illness. Have you ever heard stories like this? You know, if like an old person usually will have a dog, and there will be some mole on the old person's leg, and the dog will sniff the mole and then bite it. And then the owner gets, "What are you doing biting me?" And they find out later that the dog actually bit off a cancerous tumor. And if the dog hadn't bit them, they wouldn't have known that they potentially could have made themselves very sick. Wolves can smell weakness, old age. So if a human being wants to avoid being targeted by an evil spirit, an evil person, the way that they do that is they raise their vibration to a level of love, self-love, and trust. When you trust the universe to take care of you, you raise yourself to a higher vibration. And evil, whether they're evil spirits or evil people, they can't smell you, they can't detect you. Not only that, you will be unattractive to them, and or you will frighten them. Because the truth is that evil people are desperately afraid of people who are self-empowered. Having said that, there is evil in this world, in this third dimension, that is incredibly dark, incredibly destructive. And they do manifest as evil spirits. I've experienced it numerous times. So as you all know, I'm going to remind you of something that is only going to be going on for the next couple of weeks. Not even that, a week and a half. Whoop, hang on, let's move this up here. Nope, that's not what I want. I want this one. Let's move that up here. Okay, so from now until, what did I say, the 11th of November, I am going to be making available to you the spirit fighting kung fu forms of the Mao Shan. I am taking off $1,250 of that, only until the 11th. And if you practice those, this is, as I said, if I were to go to a place that was haunted, if I were to go to a place that the demons did exist, if I did those Mao Shan Kung Fu forms, I would drive away that negativity. You can even, by doing these practices, you can create a level of energy within your own body that when you go out in public, the other thing is, one of the reasons I never go on any kind of ghost hunting excursions or studies. People go looking for ghosts. The reason why I never go on any of those excursions is because I would ruin it for everybody. Because just by me being there, because I have done these 5-element Mao Shan spirit fighting forms and I still practice them, simply because I do that, if I were to go with them, I would drive away all of the ghosts. That nothing would happen. They'd be sitting there all night with nothing going on whatsoever. So, not everybody has to do that to protect themselves from evil, but if you actually want to fight evil, this is, I don't know of a more powerful way to do it. In fact, anytime that you operate from love, from selflessness, in the sense that you're not going after anybody to use them, you are so self-empowered, you don't see other people as objects to be used. That's what I mean by selflessness. When you live from a state of trust in the universe, you're going to be golden. You don't have to worry about it. But if you really want to fight evil, you can fight it with your bare hands. You can literally fight evil with your bare hands. And what ends up happening is that you may end up getting healing powers. There was a point in time when I had to be careful who I touched, because all kinds of crazy things would happen. But one of the things that will happen is that your energy will rise up to such a level that you will not be able to be in the same room with evil. Evil will have to leave. And I'll give you an example of this in my own life. So remember, anything that is evil comes from fear and comes from being separate. Ghosts, there's a difference between a ghost and a demon. Demons are just outright evil, totally narcissistic, psychopathic, very damaging spirits. Ghosts are also sociopathic, but they're not necessarily psychopathic. But they're negative and they're dark, but they don't always have that same level of intense evil. In any case, they are part of that because as ghosts, their experience is that they're lost, which means they feel unloved. They feel separate. That's why whenever, the typical, stereotypical portrayal of a ghost is he moans. Ooh, they're miserable. They're miserable because they don't trust in the universe. They feel separate from everything. They're unhappy. They're grasping at something in the physical realm that they can't have. They're still jumping off the cliff because they're waiting to go get married and they got left at the altar. They're still upset over the fact that some other gunslinger stole their gold and they're going around looking for where their gold is hidden. They're still grasping for things outside of themselves. They represent the worst of human life when people are not connected to their own soul, which is why they're ghosts, which is why they're called hungry ghosts, which is why whenever you see ghost movies, they're always like opening their mouth and there's all this empty blackness within them. And it's frightening to us because we relate to that. We've had those feelings. We've felt alone, isolated, hungry, miserable. And so that is why ghosts are so frightening to us. In any case, I was in the early stages of my training. I'd been training for a couple of years, and I was training hours a day. And I had a tremendous amount of energy in my hands. And I went to a yoga class. And in the yoga class, one of my friends was there. This was somebody that I knew from Hollywood actor, networking. And we'd been in acting classes before, and we went to the same yoga class. And I went off into the corner to get prepared for the yoga, and the way that I would warm up for yoga is I would do these 5-element practices. So I was doing the 5-element practices, and I had just started doing it, and she was lying on the floor, and she bolted up, and she looked over at me, and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just doing my practices." And then she got up, and it looked like something like she was a puppet, like something picked her up and then just walked her out the front door. She just got up and went out the front door. And I asked her about it afterwards, and I said, what'd you do that for? She said, "Whatever it was that you were doing went right through me, and I couldn't stay in the room. I had to leave." And as it turns out, talking with her more, it turns out that she had a ghost in her home that she had been communicating with, that had attached itself to her. So it was attached to her, feeding off of her. And when I did the 5-element practices, the energy level, the vibration was so uncomfortable for the ghost that the ghost made her get up and walk out. Wasn't even her volition. She just got up and walked out like she was a robot. That's what these practices can do. And if you go here to maushan.thunderwizard.com, up until the 11th, you will get this for $1,250 off, and then it'll go back to normal price. These are practices that I was forbidden from even telling people that I did them. I wasn't even allowed to let anybody know. If people asked if I did them, I would say, "No, I don't know anything about that." I would have to lie. And not only am I not lying about the fact that I do this anymore, not only am I not keeping these things secret, I am doing everything in my power to make them available to you. They are, in my experience, the most powerful energy practices in the history of humankind. And so I do have to give it some value, because if you don't respect it, you won't get anything out of it. So, but I'm doing everything I can to make it as available as I can. Right now, the reason why I'm doing this is because we are headed towards Halloween. And this Halloween, as you've heard me say, is going to be the most powerful Halloween to connect to higher dimensional forces. Now, the truth is that during Halloween, you can connect to higher dimensional or lower dimensional. It's just that the veil between our third dimension and other realms of existence is at its thinnest. But it's even more intense than normal, because right now our electromagnetic field that surrounds the Earth is at historic lows. I don't know if it's ever been recorded being this low or not. The poles are shifting. If you pay any attention to what's happening, you will hear that from the scientific perspective, the Earth is getting bombarded with higher levels of solar radiation than normal. This is a very interesting time, and there's solar radiation that is hitting the Earth that normally wouldn't get to the Earth, because the electromagnetic field is usually stronger. So this is good, because this actually means that we have a much better chance of connecting to any spiritual forces. And so the more people that are operating on this higher level, these are people that are going to be able to drive away negativity. So here's the good news about planet Earth. Planet Earth can be free of all negative entities. It is completely within the realm of possibility to get rid of all demons, get rid of all ghosts. Bear in mind, ghosts are not the souls of humans. So don't worry about that. If you ever, people make mistake when they go on these ghost hunting tours. They think they're talking to the soul of a dead person. You're not. That person's soul has already moved on. When your soul leaves the body, it goes to another realm. The ghost of a person is something else. It is the lower self of the person. It is their identity. So if they did not find themselves connecting to their true soul identity, then their human identity, which is kind of like a recording within them, but it has consciousness and it has feelings, that will continue to live on in earth, running around trying to do human things. And that's why ghosts are so miserable, because they want to be human, but they can't. But there's a very real possibility that planet Earth can be completely free of ghosts and demons. And I do believe that will come when the solar wave hits, what people call the solar flash event. I do believe that is coming soon. I don't know when. It's based on some of the things that I've heard. It might be, I've heard that it's in the summertime, that it hits during the summer. So since summer is gone, unless we're talking about the southern hemisphere, if we're talking about the northern hemisphere, which the people who have had these visions have been in the northern hemisphere, so I think it might be. So we might have another, little less than a year before it hits, but I do believe it's coming very soon. And when that comes, there's a very good chance that higher vibrational spiritual energy coming directly from the galactic center through our sun, when it hits us, it will literally vaporize all of the demons and all of the ghosts. Don't worry about it, because demons and ghosts are not actual souls. They're not actually conscious entities. They're a conglomeration of emotional energy that has a limited temporary consciousness, very limited, but they're not actually people. So when we get rid of all the ghosts and all of the demons, actually nobody's going to get, no soul will be damaged in that. But between now and then, we still need to fight against evil. Now, evil can be within human beings as well. There are no shortage of extremely evil people running this world. And I can't get into it because, as you know, if I do, YouTube can shut me down, because I'll start talking about the people who own and run YouTube and their ilk. So there are some incredibly evil people that are on this planet. Now, I can't go and fight them. I wouldn't recommend that. I'm not telling you to do that. But on a spiritual level, we can go to war, which means that in our own homes, in our own spiritual practices, we can generate the spiritual energy necessary and then send that into the aura of the earth. We can even direct it towards wherever we want to direct it. The good news is that, let's say you're mistaken. You think that your next door neighbor's an evil person. If you do these practices and send the energy towards them, if they're good people, it'll make them feel good. The energy will go in and they'll be happier. If they are in fact evil people seeking to destroy your happiness and the happiness of others, then that energy will actually go to destroy their illusion that keeps them trapped in their pain, their fear, their anger, their narcissism, their lunacy. Because evil people are insane. Insanity, I've come to the conclusion, is the result of feeling separate. When you feel separate from consciousness, you start to go bonkers. You start to lose touch with reality. When you feel separate, when you do not trust the universe loving you, you start to lose your mind. You start to go crazy. So doing this practice will not only protect you from evil, not only will it give you the ability to fight against evil anywhere in planet Earth, or anywhere in the universe for that matter. And not only will it do that, but it will raise your vibration so you become aware of how you have separated from yourself, which is also evil. If you want to find the evil within yourself and destroy it, doing this practice will bring to your conscious awareness how you are separate, how you could be evil towards yourself. And again, let me give you the definition of evil. Evil is anything that devalues your existence. By devalue, I mean that you feel you don't deserve to live. You don't deserve to be loved. And this is what happens whenever somebody does something evil to another person. The end result of that is that person feels unloved. And if the evil gets into them, then they start to actually believe that they're not good enough, that they're not lovable. It can happen physically, it can happen emotionally, psychologically. Evil is anything that gives you the feeling and devalues your experience of your own soul. That's the definition of evil. So if you want to fight that, I have, based on my experience, the most powerful tools available. Now, if that's something you don't want to do, because not everybody has the chutzpah, they don't have the huevos to handle that kind of power, then we have others available for you, which is over here at thunderwizard.com. If you click around and you go to Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, actually, you're meant to do both of these together. You're meant to do the 5-element spirit fighting together with everything that I'm teaching you at the Lightning Qigong at thunderwizard.com. That is all of the Maoshan practices that I've been able to gather that still survive. I had 4 different Maoshan teachers, and each one of those teachers taught me a different piece of the puzzle. And I have gathered all of that together, and the combination of that is the Maoshan plus the thunderwizard.com Lightning Qigong. That is the Maoshan practice as I know it. On top of that, the Maoshan masters, the ascended masters, continue to work with me. They continue to download information to me. In fact, we could say the Hool breath is also part of that. So I would recommend those two together. Do the spirit fighting practices and do the Qigong and the meditations here at thunderwizard.com at the Lightning Qigong. And there is also a practice that I recommend for everybody. Now, this won't cost you anything. I should charge a lot of money for it, but I don't. And that is because I want this energy to get out into the world. I want this solar wave to come as soon as possible. So that means the more people that are tapping into this higher level of energy, the better. And to be clear, the Maoshan Taoists, that's where they were located. It was a mountain called Mao Mountain. Maoshan means Mao Mountain. And they actually, if you asked them in the beginning what their name was, they would say they were the people who followed the Shang Qing. Shang Qing means the highest purity heaven. Highest purity gives you the idea of the energy. Pure energy is pure consciousness. The higher you get in conscious awareness, which means valuing as opposed to devaluing, valuing your spiritual essence, knowing that you are connected to everything, knowing that you are loved by everything and that you feel yourself in all beings, the intense, concentrated energy of this is the purest energy there is. It's pure consciousness. And there is a heaven that was the highest heaven, which was called the realm of great purity. Now, for those of you who follow me, we would use different language. I would say that that is the highest dimension. And so as you go into higher dimensional energies, the energy gets more and more concentrated. The positive feelings get more and more intense. So as you go up to the fifth level, or the fifth dimension, the level of love, the level of self-love, and the intense emotional, blissful feeling of love is expanded tens of thousands of times. And that happens every time you go up into a dimension. Every time you go up into a dimension, it expands tens of thousands of times. So by the time you get all the way up to the highest dimension, which is, depending on who you talk to, either the 10th or the 11th dimension, the level of love that is felt on that level is actually too much for us to handle. If we were to feel the love that goes on the 9th dimensional level, we'd just explode. You literally would not be able to stay in your own body. The amount of blissful orgasmic love that would explode inside of you, your body would just disappear. So we only get to handle a little bit at a time. So this is what happens when you do these practices, and if you want to, you can do the Hool breath. You can also do the Awakening the Immortals Qigong. Again, I should be charging money for that, but I don't. You should also be, if you're new to this, doing the Hool breath. These are the two practices I recommend most. There's others that you can do, but those are the ones that I recommend most. That will tap you into this realm of highest purity, heaven. I'm gonna guess that the realm of highest purity is perhaps the 9th dimension. That's gonna be my guess. But I honestly don't know. Once you get higher than the 3rd dimension, it's so far beyond any of our understanding. We can only guess at that point what goes on after that. Okay, so that's it. I'm happy to take any questions, especially any questions you have about evil, any questions you have about evil spirits, any questions that you have that are connected to your desire to overcome negative feelings within yourself. Sadness, depression, self-hatred, self-devaluation. You can ask me questions about evil people, which is narcissists. Ask me anything about that. This is a great time. You can ask me about whatever you want, but those are the things that I'm interested in talking about at the moment. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so taking a look here at the chat, we've got Vincent.thunderwizard.com, who is one of my astrologers. You can go to his website, Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Check out all the stuff he has available. Okay, again, I'm looking for the questions. Who is this person? This person says, I know you hate me, and then asks really strange questions. So I can't hate you because I don't know you. But the truth is, I don't hate anybody. I don't have any hate for anybody. But I will say this, your question sounds like you have some pretty serious psychological issues. I'm not even going to read it because it's so, well, it's sad. I don't know what you're asking. I don't know what it is about me that you've fixated on me in this way. What I would recommend that you do is get some help. It sounds to me like you need to be working with a psychologist. Having said that, I find your interaction abusive. And as I said, Evil is when you devalue somebody else. I'm not even going to read what you said because people can see it there. You devalued me. You said something actually that was pretty horrible thing to say. So, because I love myself, and because loving myself and empowering myself is actually the most loving thing I can do for any being in the universe, I am going to protect myself from your abuse. I know that you don't know any better. I can tell that you're disturbed enough that you really have no idea how damaging you are. If you decided you wanted to get better, like if you really, like in this moment, if you could just go within and just say, I know I'm in a lot of pain. I know I don't understand what I do and the things that I do and say sometimes. I want to take full responsibility. I want to look at myself. I want to heal and grow. Then I would recommend that you find a therapist, a psychologist. And on top of that, that you have a spiritual practice. That every single day you do a spiritual practice. Now, I've given out 2 free practices already. You can go onto the channel and look at the playlists, and you can find the Awakening the Immortals, the Hool Breath. There's no shortage of meditations. So if you really want to feel better, because I think what you're trying to do, even though you're devaluing me in an evil way, in a hurtful way, I think what you want, you're reaching out to me is because you want to feel better. If you want to feel better, those are the 2 things. Go see a psychologist and do some kind of spiritual practice, meaning meditation, every day. And if you do that with an honest intention to look at yourself, take full responsibility to heal and to grow, you will. Other than that, I'm finding you to be very destructive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block you. So I'll say goodbye to the disturbed person. We hope that they find the love within them that they deserve. Because even though that person is destructive, the sad part is that if that person were able to feel the love that the universe has for them, they wouldn't be acting in such a self-destructive and destructive way to other people. All right, FIM sample CG question. I'm going to do the extended version of Alpha Bloat ritual on the 31st, and my question is, if my altar is in my own room, when I have to leave my subconscious to continue the ritual, should I not enter my room? Okay, so you're thinking too hard about this. What you're talking about is the ritual to the Ascended Masters, the ritual to the elves that I have on my channel. It's a very old video. It's probably 14 or 15 years old. But it was a very interesting ritual. So the idea is that you have a space that's not where you live and not where you sleep. And you go and you do the ritual, and when you leave, you're going to let things happen in that space while you're off, sleeping or whatever. And then when you come back, you will reconnect with that part of you. And anyway, you can watch the video on the channel to see what I'm talking about. So you're asking me, what do you do basically if your altar is in your own room? Just don't worry about it. Don't overthink it. You just do it and then finish it when it's time to finish it, and everything will work out just fine. Vijay Bhaskar. The way this works, if you look above, I want you to look at where you are in the chat. Go up above and you'll see that FIM sample CG has written the word question in all caps. And then this person has written a complete question. I don't know what you're talking about. So you obviously want me to answer your question for you. So you need to love yourself enough to actually put the effort into writing a full sentence with context, because how am I supposed to know what you're talking about? You say, may I please ask why it is so? Why is what so? Seriously, stop for a second, take a deep breath, and then ask yourself, what is it that I want to know? and pretend as though you've just walked up to me on the street. You're going to have to give me an entire question with a full sentence, with total context, so that you can be understood. You are doing damage to yourself by not putting the effort into having me understand what the hell you're talking about. And as you see below it now, Timothy Zoll has written, and he writes the word question. So that's how I like things done on here. If you don't do that, I tend not to respond for reasons that I just said. Timothy Zoll, question. Does doing the 3 ones repel negativity? The 3 ones, in case you don't know, is a Maoshan meditation that actually was believed to give people immortality. Now, let's talk about what the Taoist understanding of immortality is. It doesn't necessarily mean living in your body forever. In fact, it doesn't mean that. What it means is that when you reach a state of energetic vibration to a level where you go beyond the 3rd dimension, when that happens, you shift. Your body seemingly disappears. If you were standing next to somebody and they were to go through this shift, their body would disappear. You would see them one moment, and the next moment they would be gone. And what would happen is they would still have their physical body, but they would be in a higher dimension, and they would be able to keep their physical body while they continue to do their spiritual meditations. So if they still had karma to work through, if they still had lessons, if there were still things they needed to understand about physical life, they would be able to do so from a higher dimensional perspective in the same body, in the same mind. In other words, they wouldn't have to go and be reincarnated and start all over again. They would be able to remember their life, remember their past lives, and continue doing their practice without having to be in the 3rd dimension. So that's what the 3 ones meditation is about. I teach that here, thunderwizard.com, the lightning qigong. You'll see it. It's almost one of the latest ones. I teach you exactly how to do the meditation. And then on this channel, as well as that one, I have the mantra that I use along with it. So the combination of that meditation with the Maoshan mantra together, you'll find out for yourself. It's the most complete spiritual practice. And by the way, as I said before, if I really wanted to get as much energy as I could possibly get and do the highest, most advanced energy practice in my repertoire, which is a lot, here's what I would do. I would do the 5 element practices here at maoshan.thunderwizard.com, followed immediately by the 3 ones meditation. If you already have a mantra, I would fit the mantra in between that. So if you have a Vedic mantra, I would do the 5 element spirit fighting, I would do your mantra, and then I would do the 3 ones meditation. And I don't think there's any more powerful combination of exercises in human existence. When you do these practices, you're going to feel yourself connect directly to the universe. You will get an awareness of the universe that, if you're anything like me, you'll get an awareness of the universe that you could not have gotten on your own. It is the most intense, the quickest hack into the energy of the universe I've ever experienced. All right, so let's answer his question now. He says, does doing the 3 ones repel negativity? Yes. And he goes on to say, and can you reveal why we use visualization of the Big Dipper, and should we visualize the various positioning throughout the year? All right, so the Maoshan guys got real serious about that, and they would face a different direction based on the time of year, and it would be in one of the 4 quadrants of the sky. I don't tell you to do that because you can still get the benefits of it without getting all super focused on all those specific things. In fact, the 3-1s meditation gets much more complicated. You have to imagine all of the different deities, what they're wearing and what they're holding, and they have a little deity in their hand as they're standing. I mean, yeah, the original meditation is incredibly complex, but I've been experimenting with this for the past 30 years, and I've come to find out that for me, I don't need to do that. The version that I've given you is as powerful as I need it to be. And so that's what I share with you. If you want to research where the Big Dipper is throughout the year, you can face one of each of the 4 cardinal directions and do it if you want. But that I will leave that up to you. I do believe that people should do their own research and put the effort into their own practice. But if you want to just, one of the good things to do is just follow directions. If your teacher gives you something and gives you specific directions, do it exactly the way it's given to you. There's something about that opens up something within you. But having said that, if you want to do the research on it for yourself, go right ahead. I don't find it necessary. You ask why we use visualization of the Big Dipper. The reason why you use visualization of the Big Dipper is because there are, if you talk to a Taoist, they will say that there are deities, that the stars themselves are in fact deities, and that you are using the power of those deities to guide you and enhance you, etc. And the way I view it is that I don't view them as deities. I view them as higher dimensional beings. Because here's the truth. Let me share with you guys something about our universe. This is according to physics. According to physics, everything in our universe, all of the light, the electricity, the magnetism, the gravity, all of these things are leaking into the 3rd dimension from the 5th dimension. And when you understand that, you understand that stars are actually beings. They are light beings that are sort of poking their heads into the 3rd dimension. And we see them as stars, but they're actually beings of incredible power. And so when there's mantras for the sun, that's there for a reason, because the sun is the presiding deity in our solar system. And so when you worship the sun, you are worshiping a portal, because each of the stars, not only are they higher dimensional beings of incredible power and love, by the way, they have tremendous love for you. Not only are they beings of incredible power, but they are portals to the higher dimensions. So this is why black holes, I've come to find out, are actually gateways to the 5th dimension. If you go through a black hole, you'll end up immediately in a dimension of pure light. And so stars, the light that is coming from stars is actually leaking into our dimension from higher dimensions. Our dimension is empty. It's black. It's a dimension of darkness. So all of the light, including the light coming out of in fact, if a being of light wanted to come into the 3rd dimension, they could come through the light that's coming out of my lamp here, if they chose to do it. I've seen people, I have read accounts of people who have seen that happen. Like they've seen light beings come out of, street lamps. And then when they leave, they go back through the light, back through the lamp into wherever. So light is a way that they travel. They travel through the light, and the light is from their dimension. So, the Big Dipper is 7 stars, 7 portals into higher dimensions. Each one of those stars is a deity in its own right. And so you are bringing down those deities who have a very powerful impact on human destiny. I mean, there isn't any society on Earth that at least in the Northern Hemisphere, that doesn't revere the Big Dipper in some way. And in fact, even if you're not religious, you're going to sit there and you're going to look at the Big Dipper. You're just going to look at it. So the stars of the Big Dipper have powerful energies and they want to help you. So the short answer is, well, there is no short answer. Let's see, what else? And so, yeah, if you want to visualize it, what I would do is this. It's not that you visualize it, the Big Dipper, in different parts of the sky. What I would do is I would shift so that I was facing. For instance, right now, as I'm doing it, I'm facing north because that's where the Big Dipper was a while ago. I think it's moved. But that's where it was a while ago, and I'm a creature of habit, so I still do that, and it's okay. It works for me. So if you want to, depending on what time of the year it is, find out where it is in the sky and adjust your meditation direction towards where it is. That's what I would recommend. Otherwise, just don't worry about it. Film sample CG, honest feeling. I didn't understand if I'm able to enter my room when I leave the altar in my room. Yes, I'm saying don't overthink it. The only reason that you're the way that I explained it was that you're doing it in a different room. So the idea is that you're leaving that space alone. You're leaving it holy. If you've got an altar in your room where you're doing it, then you just kind of, stay away from that part of your room. So I don't know. Just don't overthink it. Do what you can. This isn't about being perfect. It's just about doing what you can. But I appreciate you wanting to honor the directions. If you have an ability to do it somewhere else, then of course do it somewhere else. That way you don't have to worry about it. What else? Nelly question. My Chiron, I don't do Western astrology. So Nella, I'm only a Vedic astrologer, which is sidereal, zodiac. I don't have the first clue what Chiron is. That sounds like Western. So I'll finish your question here. My Chiron is in Aries in Western astrology. Oh, there you go. Which means I have to overcome worthiness. So should someone with self-esteem, self-worth issues invest in Maoshan practices? You're asking me, do I think that you should invest in Maoshan practices? I wouldn't be working so hard to advertise them if I didn't think that everybody should do them. So, you won't know until you do it. So, I'm not going to make a decision for you. You have to decide in yourself based on what I've said, the way I've described it. Does it sound like something you want? That's all you have to ask. Does it sound like something that you want? And if it is, then you don't need to ask yourself that question. Am I worthy of doing it? Should I be? It doesn't matter. Do you want to do it? If you want to do it, then do it. I'm saying that because you're asking me to sort of make the decision for you, and I'm not going to do that. This is your decision, and you take full responsibility for the decisions you make. I'm going out of my way to practically give it away to people. So obviously, I think everybody that has the slightest inkling should be doing it. That's my own personal opinion, and that's why I'm making it available. You decide if you want to do it or not, and I will respect and support you in whatever decision that you decide. Okay, that is not a question, but welcome. Okay, so are we done? We done with questions? Okay, so let me talk very briefly about the 5 elements and why they have such a tremendously powerful impact on evil and negativity. Specifically, just by themselves, the 5 elements represent how we process emotions. So you remember that I said that evil spirits they are emotions that have got a little bit of consciousness, but they're emotions that are stuck. So if you want to know where demons come from, they're not fallen angels. Demons come from some conscious being somewhere gets really bogged down in the fear and the feeling of being isolated. Whether that is that they're full of lust, they're full of greed, they're full of murderous hatred, they're full of something that is some kind of expression of that, and that energy gets stuck because the person isn't moving through the emotion. And so somebody dies, that energy goes out, and it looks to resolve itself. You've got yourself a demon. You've got yourself a ghost. And so the reason why we work through the 5 elements, if you go here to the lightning qigong, I teach you a meditative practice of going through the 5 elements. There's standing postures. There's a very powerful practice in that I teach. And when you take your feelings, sadness, anger, resentment, fear, murderous rage, whatever it is, and you put it through those 5 elements, you will work through the feeling, you will transform the energy behind the feeling, and now that what used to be a feeling that was bothering you is now a source of purified energy that you can now put into your body, which you can put into your mind, into your soul. This is the power of the 5 elements. And that is just doing the 5 elements from a meditative perspective. But when you do the 5 element practices of the spirit fighting, you are doing very specific movements that work through the 5 elements. I'm not going to show you exactly where they are, but there's points on the hand and the arm that deal with the 5 elements of the lightning center of the heart. So this is the brilliance of the 5 element Mao Shan practice, is that it's not just that you're tapping into the lightning power of the Mao Shan, the Shang Qing. It's not just that you're working through the 5 elements. You're actually doing a concentrated version of the 5 elements that taps into the lightning center of the heart. The wood element, when you do that, you destroy resentment. So if if a demon of resentment were to come at you, you'd throw wood at it. That would take that energy and process it. The element of metal has to do with sadness. Now, one of the things that happens, you're fighting a demon when you're doing the practice and all of a sudden you feel yourself just become really tired out of nowhere and you just can't move. Or you get really depressed and you just want to sit down. That's how you know that there's an evil spirit in the room. And the evil spirit is trying to keep you from doing the practice. So what you do is you relax even more and then do the practice in a super relaxed way. And then all of this energy will start coming through you and you will actually be tearing that energetic, demonic force to pieces. You'll be destroying it. So the wood deals with resentment, anger. The metal deals with the negative emotions of sadness and depression. The fire deals with impatience and the flashes of anger that comes with impatience, the inability to see other people. Water deals with fear, the lack of trust in the universe. And earth deals with negative entities of confusion. These are one of the most powerful demons that are running around the world right now, is demons of confusion. The inability to comprehend your reality. This is huge. The internet has been hugely influential in this. The mainstream media, governments, if there's one demon that they all share in common, it's this demon of confusion. So when you work through all 5 of those elements, you destroy all of that negativity within yourself. And then, as well, you can send it out into the world and destroy it in the world. So I wanted to talk about that. I had forgotten. All right, Vincent.thunderwizard.com's honest feeling. I'm feeling raw again and doing coda work. He means Codependence Anonymous. He feels just as uncomfortable as the other times I do my work. Well, that's how you know it's working. So good for you. Sorry you're feeling bad, but I understand where you're coming from, and I encourage you to keep doing it. It's working. All right, are we done? I've done all of my business. I've explained everything. You see the links here, maushan.thunderwizard.com. You've only got a few days left, and then it's going back up. The price is going to go up by $1,250 because that is how valuable this, in fact, this practice is, well, it's, there's no amount of money that will be enough. But and then, of course, we have the Lightning Qigong. If you go to thunderwizard.com and scroll around and subscribe to the Lightning Qigong. By the way, I do have now more spaces available for apprentices. An apprentice is somebody that works with me in a one-on-one private session, Skype, once a month, either audio or audio and video, doesn't matter. And I have that. I've made some spaces available. Those of you who are already apprentices, I'm closing out that one module. You guys are safe where you are, but I'm not letting anybody in at that level. They'll have to come in at a different level. And yeah. So to see everything I have books, by the way. I'm in the midst of writing a book. I have books. I have no shortage of video courses and all kinds of different things. And you can see all of that here at courses.thunderwizard.com. Don't send me an email asking me, where do I go to get a reading? How much does it cost? If you paid the time and attention to see this link here, courses.thunderwizard.com, you would know everything that I make available to you. All right, that's it. I've done all my business. I don't see any more questions, so we're done. All right, I'm going to see if I can come up with something special for Halloween. I'm still thinking it over. I'll let you know when that happens. I love you all, my friends. I wish you all the best, and I look forward for all of us moving up to that next level, getting rid of our fear of isolation, our feelings of being trapped, and all the stuff that is part of being in the third dimension, and for all of us moving up to that higher fifth dimensional experience. I will do everything in my power to help you experience that, and wish me good luck. And if you want to thank me, besides doing yourself a favor by signing up for these different courses, if you want to do me a favor, then go meditate. Go do the Hool breath or the Awakening the Immortals, and empower yourself, because when you empower yourself, you empower me. And I appreciate that. All right, that's it. I wish you guys all the best. I will see you all very soon. Take care. Let's see, which one of these do I want? Oh, it's way up here. We want this one.